Hello and welcome back to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about the new Tier 8 Premium Medium Russian tank, the Obsidian. It's available through the Murney 13 mode, so first of all I'll quickly explain how you can get this tank, then we'll talk about some field mods and equipment that I recommend you to take, and then we'll talk about this tank's statistics through the use of some gameplay played by my good friend Devi. Let's get right into it. Firstly, let's talk about how you get this tank. This tank is available through the new Halloween 2023 game mode, Murney 13. In order to unlock it, you have to play through each 3 difficulties, complete a series of 15 missions, which will give you keys, and then what you do is you decrypt reels to unlock the progress to unlock this tank. You have to collect in the region of 300 keys, which is not too bad. So, for example, on a win on Nightmare difficulty, you can get up to 11 keys. So the progress is long, but it's not terrible for a free premium tank. So, once you've decrypted all 15 reels, you get to unlock the Obsidian. It's around 15 hours of gameplay for an average player, I estimate. Let's talk about this tank's field mods and equipment now. Now, for equipment and field mods. I recommend for your first equipment choice, you take Turbo, Rammer, and V-Stabs. Then once you progress through the field mods and you get to unlock your second choice, you take Hardening, Rammer, and V-Stabs. Turbo will improve this tank's speed, which it is lacking, and the Hardening will allow you to brawl on more city-based maps. So Turbo on open maps, Hardening on city-based maps. Now for field mods, I recommend you take Module Durability, Improved Sight, and Turbocharger Tuning. Now, let's go into some gameplay and see what this tank really can do, and I'll talk you about some statistics too. So, let's talk about this tank statistics through some gameplay. Today, we're going to be watching Devi on Rimberg, and he's going to do a good job of showing us what the strengths of this tank are, but also what its limitations are. So, let's get right into talking about these statistics. This tank is a bit of an enigma at tier 8. It's got very good DPM, but its DPM is not in a traditional sense. Its DPM is more unique. It's a little bit awkward because its DPM comes through a high rate of fire but really low alpha shots. So, when you're fully tricking this out and you're using a Turbo Rammer V-Stab setup, you can get this tank's DPM up to 2,908, which is pretty good. It's pretty high for a tier 8 medium. You know, we're talking almost like tier 10 medium tank DPM there. But it has 200 alpha. That is the lowest alpha for any premium tank pretty much at tier 8 that is not an autoloader or some kind of clip-based tank. For a single shot, this is the lowest alpha. 200 is low, and you're going to see that in this gameplay. You do not punish peaks, you know, it's almost like you're tickling your opponents a little bit. It's got a low caliber shell as well, because it's a low caliber gun, so you're not going to be overmatching anything. So to pen stuff, you just have to pen it based off raw pen. So as you've seen already, this tank does have a little bit of armor, and that is kind of where this tank is kind of very good in a way. You know, it's not going to be... You don't expect it to bounce everything, right? But low caliber, low pen guns, you're going to be able to semi-reliably pen, bounce, especially on the turret. So, this tank's cheeks of its turret, like, especially around its gun mantlet, like I will highlight here. So, if we zoom in, here, it's 250 at its thickest. So, you know, anything higher tier is going to penetrate it pretty easily. But you are going to pull away some bouncers, your own tier, especially if they're firing standard. And its tank's hull, it's not the strongest. It's 190mm straight on at the thickest. But this tank has a bit of a trick with its cupola, actually. As you can see, it's got a pretty big cupola on top. And you'd think, oh, that's, you know, just going to get penned by everything. Because of the way it's angled, you need a greater than 105mm gun to overmatch it, unless you fire heat, obviously. So if you're firing AP or APCR, you need a 105mm or greater gun, which, you know, most tanks do have. So that is obviously going to be a limitation, as if they can't pen your side turrets, they'll probably just be able to hit and pen your cupola. But it's not a complete limitation, and it's relatively strong. And as you've just seen, bouncing a KV2, firing AP, it will do it. Because it does have a bit of armor. And this tank also has a little bit of a trick up its sleeve in terms of side scraping. It can over-angle, almost like a 257 in a way. Not obviously as effective as a 257, but it can still over-angle and pull off semi-effective bounces against low-caliber, low-penetration guns. Obviously, providing they don't shoot your front hull when you side-scrape. Another little thing of this tank is it's got front wheels on the front, as you see, and it looks a bit funny. They provide spaced armor. It's semi-useful. You know, it doesn't do a great deal, but it's better than nothing, right, having it there. So, yeah, less about the armor. Let's talk about some of this tank's soft statistics now. So, dispersion, as you've seen, it's pretty alright. It's pretty accurate. 0.31. It's pretty average. It's not top tier, but it's definitely not the worst dispersion at tier 8. Aim time, 1.83 seconds. It's pretty good. You know, when you fully trick this tank out, you can get its reload down to about 4.8 seconds. So to have aim time of 1.8 gives you plenty of time to properly aim your shots. But another thing that limits this tank is its penetration. It's not got the worst gold pen, but its standard pen of 212mm and its AP, it's not great. Doesn't have the greatest shell velocity. 212 pen will struggle to pen a lot of tier 8 heavies. You know, you're going to be able to easily pen tier 7 heavies, but tier 8, tier 9, tier 10, which this tank can and will regularly face, you are going to struggle with the standard pen. So you are going to be relied to fire a lot of gold. And I must say, the gold in this tank, it's not cheap. But 242, it's IS6 kind of penetration. So it's not great, but it's not horrendous. And it will get you by. But, and I've saved this till last, the biggest limitation of this tank is its speed. It is slow. It is, I believe, the slowest tier 8 medium tank. You are going to be slower than heavies at tier 8. Tier 9 heavies are going to be quicker than you. You are just heavy tank slow. And that's why I recommend you take a turbo on this tank. If you can, take the best turbo you've got. If you've got access to a Bond turbo, and you really want to mark this tank, or really want to play a lot of this tank because you really enjoy it, put a Bond turbo on it. Because if you do, you can get its forward speed up to 48 kilometers an hour, and its reverse speed up to 22, which is passable. I feel like if you're going to use a normal turbo, or even a bounty turbo, you are going to be limited, and it is the biggest limitation of this tank. As you've seen in this endgame, Devi failed to miss out on the extra 3k damage that had he have been playing a Barask. Anything else which goes over 50, 55, he'd have been able to clean up and pick up another k of damage towards the end potentially. But he was left to crawl along like a heavy tank is at the end of the game and not be able to pick up that endgame damage, which means you kind of have to play this tank on the front lines, which is why I recommend the turbo, so you can get into those positions and play this tank on its front lines. Use its armor semi-effectively. Don't rely on it, but it will bounce occasionally. And I recommend for the city-based maps to take the hardening because it will allow you to brawl. There is an argument that you could drop the vertical stabilizers because this tank's gun handling is okay. But I feel, for me, I like to use V-stabs on a lot of my medium tanks. I just feel like it just makes the gun, especially on the move, obviously that's what it changes, just better. Because especially with a tank like this, you want to be moving all the time. So if you've got V-stabs, it means you can snap those shots on the move and feel like you can more reliably hit them. So, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm going to go into the outro now, and I'm going to quickly conclude this tank for you. So, thank you for watching today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got something from this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're going for a new goal of 750 subs by the end of the year, so become a part of that. And remember, any questions, comment them down below, and I'll respond as quickly as I can. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!